having friends is a very important aspect of our lives. And if you want to learn how to be a better friend, how to take care of your friends, how to select friends, how to recover friends, this is the episode for you today. Stay with me because Dr. Adam is going to help us to understand about our friendships as adults and then as a teenagers too. Okay, so stay with us today. Living in harmony is possible if you know your emotions and how to handle them. I am Dr. Carmen Roman, and I will share with you the current psychology by myself or by interviewing experts who will inspire you. Learn how to live a life of fullness and how to recover your emotional harmony. Welcome to Emotions in Harmony. We are now in this episode with Dr. Adam Dorsay. He's a licensed psychologist in the Silicon Valley, in San Jose in particular. He works with high-achieving adults with their relationship issues, with the stress reduction, with anxiety, with how they can be happier. This is the point. He has a bachelor's degree in psychology and Asian studies from the Pitzer College. She has a master in counseling from the Santa Clara University. He has a coaching credential from the Coaches Training Institute. And of course, he has a PsyD. And he's a clinical psychology from the Ryokan College. Dr. Adam has been very successfully a TED Talker in 2016. We are going to put you the link for his TED Talk. And he has been in other podcasts. So you may want to visit his website, and we are going to put that in the link for you. Here we go with the interview. Enjoy it as much as we do, and we have a good laugh, and we learn a lot. So here we go. Hello, mis queridos amigos in harmony. How are you? Today, we are going to talk about you and your relationships. Probably the most important relationships in the United States. Friends are like family. Yeah. And in Mexico, they are just adopted to us as a family. So we are going to talk today about how you make friends, how you don't make friends, how you change friendships, how you select friendship. And for that, we are really in luxury today. We have Dr. Adam Dorsay. How are you, doctor?
I'm very happy. Wow. What a nice welcome.
Yeah, we have Brenda with his machine and all of these sounds. So she's going to be...
I think I need to learn some skills from her. That sounds like a great way to greet people and really give me the royal red carpet. Thank you.
Yeah, so here we go again. We have Dr. Adam Dorsay. How are you, doctor?
I'm great. I'm really happy to be here and grateful to be in your company.
They already hear the intro by now, but I'm going to say a little more about you, and then if you complete something.
Perfect.
Yeah. Dr. Adam, as I told you, is a licensed psychologist, a specialist. He has been working, is the co-creator of the Project Reciprocity, a highly successful international resiliency program based on the Facebook headquarters, in Menlo Park. And he also served as a resiliency consultant on DigitalOcean. Oh, yeah?
That's right, DigitalOcean.
This is a cloud company in Manhattan.
Cloud computing company based out of Manhattan and Cambridge, Massachusetts. Yeah, they're fabulous.
What else do you want to say so we can know you better?
Sure. I have the pleasure of specializing in working with high-functioning, highly successful men primarily, but of professionals of Silicon Valley. So people who often don't take time for themselves because they are so busy come in to get to know a little bit more about the invisible portions of who they are and make them more visible to themselves in a safe environment, which is my office. And we get to know them more deeply, so that instead of being driven by these forces that seem to be happening, these thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that seem to be happening to them, they have more control over, oh, okay, so this is how it goes for me. And it's absolutely wonderful. I got to do a TEDx talk on the work I do primarily with men who may be a bit out of touch with their emotions because they rely more on their thinking than they do on their emotions as data sources. I have a therapy dog in my office by the name of Rafi, who has been just wonderful. I'm married. I've got a lovely wife with whom I actually share a waiting room. Her office and my office are separated by a little break room, and she's been a great office mate and a great colleague, and of course a wonderful wife. And I've got 2 boys at home, and I'm very grateful for all that I have. I feel very, very full.
Thank you, and thank you for sharing that your knowledge and your abundance in life with us.
My pleasure.
Today.
And one thing that would be very important also is that friends have been important to me personally and professionally, academically, in a whole host of ways. And I'm glad to be speaking with you about this very important topic of friendship. These friends, a very smart person once said that we are the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. And choosing your friends carefully, conscientiously, is very important, because the human condition is contagious. We can feel happier when we're with people who are happier, and we can feel sadder when we're with people who tend to be more negative. Of course, friends will sometimes be depressed or sad or anxious, and that's okay. And
because it's life.
With them, of course. The question is, are they perpetually that way? Do they add a wet blanket to your forward progress? Do they, if you tell them, I'm thinking about changing my job, do they say, oh, go for it, let's talk about ways we can make that happen? Or do they say, you probably aren't going to get it, it didn't work for me, so it's probably not going to work for you? Not that sometimes some pessimism sometimes is warranted for some things. When they are overly negative, overly pessimistic, we tend to feel a little bit depressed and pessimistic ourselves. So it is a contagious condition.
So part of choosing the friends is also thinking about that. They are not doing their work, basically, because somebody who tend to be depressed, they don't do their personal work that much.
You got it. So that's a really good point. One of the things that you and I have studied a lot is the idea of the locus of control. And that's a fancy way of saying, does the control exist within me, or do I just say, I'm a victim, the control is outside? For most situations, the locus of control, the location of the control, is from within. We have choice in how we interpret circumstances. Viktor Frankl, who was tested in the worst of circumstances, he was in a concentration camp, a very large one that many of you have heard of, called Auschwitz in Poland. He was a psychiatrist. He lost his profession. He lost his home. He lost his entire family. He lost his identity. He realized that even when he was down to nothing in a concentration camp, and he was very near death himself, he realized he still had one final freedom, and that was how to choose how he was going to interpret an event and how that interpretation would dictate his actions. Fortunately, most of us do not need to have that kind of test. But when you said that people don't do their work, yes, that's right. When people come in for psychotherapy, one of the things they learn is there are a lot more options on the menu than we thought. We thought there was only one option, and the only option was things happen. And there's a very common bumper sticker. I won't say exactly what it says. It rhymes with "hit happens," but it says a lot of people have that on their cars, and that's a very victim-y mentality. It's like, of course that happens in life. It's true, but it's how we respond to it. And one of the things that psychotherapy does is it teaches us how to interpret the event and how to respond from there.
I have a group of women that they have been in and out in the group therapy for years. I don't like to keep my clients more than 2 years, but this particular group of women, they evolved to do leadership and other areas, and they became friends. Yeah, they are friends. So this year, life has really hitting them hard, like really hard. And those were the group of people that I was less concerned about because they did their work, because they are friends between them. And they have the resources, the emotional resources. And sure enough, they are doing great despite the circumstances.
So they've acquired tools in the work that you did with them, and they are using them in real time in their friendships. And it sounds like there's this synergistic effect where they are all, instead of it just being, I'm going to give them names, Pamela, Cynthia, I'm using too many, and Christina. Instead of it just being a 1 + 2 + 3, it's a 1 × 2 × 3. They are becoming better as a result together.
Yeah.
The same thing can happen negatively if they don't have those tools that you gave them. So it sounds like this is a really great case study of what can happen when people are empowered with great tools in friendship.
So, Doctor, how do we work to grow our friendship?
Sure. The first thing we need to do is look at ourselves and ask ourselves, who are we and what do we offer to a friendship? Fortunately and unfortunately, we do not have a documentary filmmaker following us day by day, 24 hours a day. If we did, we would probably be surprised by what we said. But the first thing we'd want to do is ask ourselves, how much positivity am I bringing to a friendship? How much am I being a loving and responsive friend? Am I actually showing up when I'm asked to show up? One of the things that we've seen in the research around positivity is that for us to have a net positive sense of the relationship, we need 5 positive statements for every negative statement.
Okay, yeah,
that's a lot.
That sounds, yeah.
It takes 3 positive statements just to make it net neutral. But a lot of husbands and wives probably have 5 negatives to 1 positive instead of the opposite. And I would venture a guess that many friends don't. How reliable also are we as friends? It seems that there are 3 really good traits that are kind of constant through the board of friendships. The first one is roughly called integrity. Integrity means I show up on time, I do what I say I'm going to do, I'm responsive and reliable. The next one is kindness. I offer kindness, I offer support. I'm not sarcastic when something sad happens. I do my best to be a kind person within the context of friendship. Under each of these big headings, of course, are several little bullets, and you can read about these. And the third is something that we refer to kind of as congeniality, being fun, adding maybe a little sense of humor. I'm not talking about being sarcastic and being, but I'm talking about finding ways to lighten the mood. A person who I saw as like in TV as the most congenial character almost of all time was Amy Poehler's character in Parks and Recreation. She was just so congenial and she was very kind and she had a lot of integrity. She, of course, was a bit of a cartoon character on the show, but what a great person to be around. I mean, very positive. Really cared a lot about her friends, really showed up, was totally reliable. I think the Amy Poehler piece is an important one to look at, and to look at yourself first. How am I doing? Am I bringing integrity? Am I showing up when people ask me to show up, or am I just showing up when it's convenient or fun? Oprah Winfrey once said, it's easy to find someone who will ride on the limousine with you, but it's harder to find someone who will ride on the bus. So integrity is the willingness to ride on the bus with your friends. Say, I know you're going through a tough time. I'll help you move on Sunday. Oh, wow. You just had to say goodbye to your beloved cat of 20 years. And I have tickets to the Warriors game tonight. I'm going to hang out with you. I know I really want to go to the Warriors game, but I will hang out with you because you're in a really bad place. That's the integrity piece. Then the kindness. The kindness is just, exuding kindness and positivity. And then how am I doing on the congeniality? Am I bringing more fun to the equation, more of a lightness as well?
I like that. Well, it's not something that we normally expect, because the question was what we do with friends, and you are talking about what we offer in the friendship, which is true. It's like what I offer is the quality of friends I'm getting, I guess.
Yeah, they say to have a good friend, you must first be a good friend. And it's almost a cliche, almost like something you would see on a Hallmark card, but it's really true. Then ask yourself, who are the people I would like to attract? Who are the people who will make my life better, and whose life can I make better at the same time? Where can I find a win-win? Where I bring something to the table and they would bring something for me. So that at the end of the day, when I come home to my significant other, I come home maybe a few inches taller. One of my favorite little ideas that I came up with, this is not based on research, but I call it the drive-away test. And it's a good way to assess, how is the friendship going? I drive and meet for an outing with a friend. Maybe I go hiking. And when I get back in the car, do I feel taller? Do I feel happier? Do I feel stronger? Or do I feel discouraged? Maybe a little bit like I've lost my breath and I'm all out of oxygen. Or maybe the other person was just talking about him or herself excessively and not asking a single question. That can happen once in a while. But if it happens frequently, and it becomes kind of a characteristic of the relationship, maybe it's time to ask yourself, is this where I want to invest my time? My time is valuable. It's the only resource I have that I cannot get back. I can lose my health and recover and get my health back. I can lose my money and get that back, but I cannot lose my time and get that back. So when we give our friends our gift of time, it's a big deal. And we have to be conscientious about how we allocate that most precious of resources.
Yes, that's true. And also, we need to be sure, we control that for us, that it's not the job of the friend.
Right. That we are...
we have agency.
That agency.
About that.
I like that word.
Because talking about the role of the victim, I can say, well, my friends don't look after me, they don't see me, I'm not their priority.
Exactly.
Yeah? And I make them my priority. And usually I tell them, well, why you will do that? Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So you're talking about having them unlearn something that they've learned. Obviously, when somebody's come from a victim place, there's probably a big root cause. Probably they grew up in a home where they came to the conclusion, things happen and I have no control. And there may be a basis for it. But when we become adults and we have more power, more sovereignty, more agency, more control, sometimes we still hear that old song. It's almost like when you go to Disneyland, you hear "It's a Small World" and you're waiting in line with your child, and it's a small world after all. You hear that all day. And guess what happens after you've left Disneyland? You still hear the same song.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people who don't believe that they have control are still hearing an old song of, you have no control. You have no control. Things happen to you. My friends do this, and no matter what I do, it will make no difference. And what we do as therapists, and what we can do just for people who are just listening to this, is ask people to take a moment and say, take a moment. Do you have a little more control than you think? And if so, what might you do to change your reality? What might be something that would move things in a positive direction? A lot of people, sadly, also don't understand that there are 3 basic food groups. There is passivity, which is doing nothing and letting things happen. There is hostility and aggressiveness, which is kind of being a jerk and killing friendships. And then there's a middle path of being assertive and being clear and being clean and being kind, but also really being true to yourself and saying, hey, this is what I would like. And asking the other person, what would you like? And making it a two-way dialogue rather than a one-way monologue of the other friend saying, we're doing this, and you just saying, oh, wow, they always call the shots. Why is that? Well, show up and be gentle. But what always cracks me up is you see in a movie, you'll see somebody who's just trying to keep it real. And actually, that's code for I'm being a relationship killer. I'm being hostile. I'm being aggressive by keeping it real. There are ways of keeping it real and also being kind in the process.
Yeah.
And that's the important thing. And unfortunately, because our vocal cords may not be used to keeping things real while at the same time being kind, that's something that we need to exercise in a therapy situation, in group therapy, or with a good friend, and with the ability to afterwards say, oh my gosh, I was trying to keep it real. I was trying to give you my voice and I kind of came off like a jerk. I am so sorry. Next time, here's what I will attempt to do so that I don't come off in this way. I'm practicing my trying to be assertive, and I kind of came off as aggressive here. I apologize.
I am back and forth when you are talking with all of these examples of the population that I work with, which is immigrants. And I'm just kind of going around my head is when immigrants move to the new place, they lose friendships.
It's terrible.
Yeah. They find themselves in the new country alone. And now, thanks to technology, they can FaceTime or WhatsApp or do something, yeah. But still, the friends in the old place, they don't have the experiences of the new place, yeah. So what I see in my clients or most of the population that I work with is this deep sadness. Even though they have their partners sometimes or their children or their families, immediate families or extended families, they still miss the friends.
That is so profound. You've brought in two pieces, the part of missing their friends because they're in a new place, and also not having a similar lexicon, a similar set of experiences to relate to their friends. It's almost like the common denominator that they shared is no longer as complete.
Yeah.
They came from Guadalajara. They had Guadalajara in common. Now one is living in San Jose and the friend is living in Guadalajara.
There is the same experience.
It's not the same shared experience.
They don't have Pakistani food there. Right. They don't have, I don't know, this kind, yeah. They don't have all the experiences that the new place has.
And they also don't have the feeling of feeling outside. So the person who just moved from Guadalajara is feeling a sense of, oh my gosh, I'm no longer at home.
Yeah.
And the old friend has no idea of what that's even like.
Yeah.
It's and you also brought in the fact that we have new technologies to keep things sustained. So it's very important that the contact remain regular. And it's okay to even name, oh my gosh, because you're still in Guadalajara, you don't know what it's like in San Jose. I want to tell you about my world. And asking the friend in Guadalajara, would you be open to hearing about it? Because I really would feel more connected to you if I could tell you about this new crazy part of my life, because there's so many things that are hitting me in this new reality. I want to share them with you. Is it okay if we do this as well? Some people who are still back home may be a little bit closed to this idea. They may feel envy, or they may feel like, oh my gosh, my friend is going to leave me every time they talk about the new place. It's a symbol that the relationship is dying. I would argue that the relationship has a better chance of surviving if the new piece also can be brought in. That would be my sense. Thankfully, we live in a time where we can be more connected than we used to, just with aerograms, by sending letters that arrive every 3 weeks. Now we can go on FaceTime and see the face. That's a big deal.
Yes.
Staying in, a lot of us feel more comfortable face to face. And so talking on the phone is a little uncomfortable. I still think talking on the phone is very important.
Yes.
But face to face via WhatsApp, FaceTime, Zoom, whatever is great.
Yeah.
Because it's seeing those eyes, it's getting those that nonverbal piece that we can only get from seeing the human face. You know, it's interesting. The human brain, it hasn't really changed in the last 40,000 years. Some people say 195,000, but at least 40,000 years, we've had the same brain. Oh, and one of the things that we need as humans, as primates, is to see the eyes of the other person. And for the person for the immigrant to stay in touch with these new video medium, it's just a game changer.
So the one who leaves needs to recognize that it needs to share the experiences with the one who stays. Yeah, needs to kind of give the context. Yeah,
I would say if the relationship can sustain it, if the relationship cannot sustain it, then I would say it's still better to have the relationship without sharing the new experiences. But I can't imagine how it would be. It would be different. It would be like using a tiny black and white television rather than a big color TV.
Yes, it will be. And I mean, friendship, what I found out in this country is friendship really becomes family. In this country, I mean in the United States. Friends, because people move all the time to one state to another. So friends really are like sisters or cousins or like very near tied. I didn't have that. I have very wonderful friendships in Mexico, but we also have the family, and we sometimes extended family is big. Yeah. So I learn and appreciate more. I start learning and appreciate more friends here. Not that I didn't before. It's just I learned that they also family.
Correct. Yeah, I would say that for people who are born in the United States, even though they are not immigrants, they are somewhat nomadic. They are moving. They grow up in Cleveland, Ohio. They go to college in Washington, D.C., and then they come to California for work, and then they move to Austin, Texas a little bit later on, and then for some reason they end up in Chicago. So there are these nomadic people that are moving around, and friendships change over time. Friends are like family out here. Some people say we choose our family through our friendships, and that can be very nice. And some people would also say that blood is thicker than water. So even if someone's family is not quite as good as a friend, sometimes families show up in bigger ways than friends do. And sometimes it's reverse. Sometimes people's families don't show up at all, but their friends do. It's very personal. But these relationships matter. And relationships in general are really what matters. So many thoughts on that. But before I do, during the stages of a person's life, friends take on different meanings. As children, it's whoever lives next door who will play soccer with me. And in high school, it's who's in the same kind of social group as I am. In college, it's who is in my dorm or my suite mates or my fraternity, or in the same extracurricular activities or major. And then after college, we move again and have to find new people at the company. And then we get married, and then a lot of relationships change after marriage because sometimes the spouse doesn't get along with the old friends group, and things narrow down even further. And then parents become friends with other parents of their. It's a wild and moving target of friendship. And what I would say is, if you have a really good friend, and if you've been out of touch with that really good friend, find a way to get back in touch and see if you can make it work. Relationships matter. And one of the things that we have found in our studies is that at the end of life, the biggest regret people have, in addition to not having tried, if we fail, that doesn't tend to be a big regret, but not having tried is a big regret. And similarly, not giving love, places where we held back. And the relationships that we've had matter more than anything on the deathbed. Those are the biggest pieces of the slideshow that we maintain in our brains and in our hearts.
Yeah.
That's the currency. That's the real currency.
That's the real currency. That's right. Well, this has been really wonderful. And I know I'm taking your time and you need to go run and have clients.
It's wonderful to be with you, Doctor.
Yes. I had a lot of fun.
Igualmente, it was just great.
Brenda too, yeah, Brenda?
And Brenda was fantastic.
Thank you, Brenda.
You're going to have to email me that sound effect. I love it.
Thank you, listener. Hopefully you learn and have fun with us. And hopefully you can repeat this episode as much as you want until you grasp the idea. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to process.
It's a lot.
Thank you, Dr. Adam, for your generosity. And if you are driving, don't take notes. Don't worry. The notes are going to be there in the box below or in the side of your episode. So they are for you. But where they can contact you if they want therapy or services from you?
Sure. Yeah. If you come to dradamdorsay.com, you can see who I am. You can find out more about my practice, see some links to my TED Talk and a few other podcasts I've been a part of, as well as some WikiHow pages that I've helped write.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So we are going to put links for you to find the TED Talk and for you to find the Dr. Adam page. And you can definitely will find them in the notes. We'll find all of this information in the notes. Yeah.
Very nice.
And please share this episode. This is the way you can help us by sharing, by allowing others to have this precious gift of knowledge. And just share blindly. Just share to everybody. Yeah. And you can also contact us through social media, any social media, WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, and say something. Say, do you like, you didn't like? There is a question we can answer for you. And especially if you have something to say to Dr. Adam, you can contact him to his email or you can contact us. That's okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Doctor.
Un gran placer.
We have reached the end of another episode of the podcast Emotions in Harmony. See you the next week. Visit www.emotionsinharmony.org, where you can subscribe, find the notes, and be in direct contact with me. Thanks for listening.